Hello class, so I'm going to show you today how to make an evil eye out of clay. You can use this little cup as your work surface, but I have this piece of paper here. So you can pull out a piece of paper from your book bag, make sure it's nice and clean, or you can just use the inside of your lid. Just a reminder that clay gets really dirty really fast, at least this type of clay, the polymer clay. So you just want to make sure that you keep it clean if it's something that you're looking to sell. Alright, so right here I have this cup full of little squares. Now these were measured out pretty good, but they weren't measured out perfectly. So if you know for sure that you need maybe a little bit more white clay or something like that, just let us know and we will try to help you out. So you want to go ahead and take all of your squares, your rectangles, whatever, and turn them into spheres. That's the first step. By doing this and turning them into spheres, you're also conditioning the clay so that it's a little bit softer and a little bit easier to work with. There you go. And for your clay, you're going to want to organize it into sizes. So my biggest piece of clay needs to be this dark purple one. My smallest one needs to be the, oh, there we go, organizing it like this. And we're going down. So biggest, smallest. As you can see here, that is not true. So I'm gonna go ahead and take out most of this purple clay so that we can make sure that it is smaller than the white piece of clay. So you're gonna have a decent amount of extra left over. There we go. And then I'm also going to take out just a little bit of this black clay. Well, maybe about half of the black clay. So that way we now have pieces that are descending. So the darker one, darker of your main color is gonna be bigger than white. Then the light color of your main part, and then the little black one is the smallest. So go ahead and pick up your sphere. Make sure it's looking nice and even and good. Oh my gosh, look at that. There's like a little frowny face on mine. That's kind of funny. But anyway, okay. So you want to make sure that it's nice and even and that there's no extra creases or lines in there because that will stay and it will bake into your clay and you don't want that to happen. All right, so now I have it into a nice sphere with no extra creases or lines. Remember, if you do have extra creases or lines, all you have to do is crush the clay. Smush it and make it back into a sphere and it is perfect. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna flatten this because this is gonna be the base for our evil eye. Now remember, as you're going, you're gonna end up flattening this down more later. So you don't want to make it too flat because then you're just gonna have a tiny itty bitty little thing and it might break apart and we don't want that. So you want to make sure it's not so flat, but that it's still not too thick, and you want to make sure it's nice and round. All right, so once you do that, you can go ahead and pick up your white piece of clay and you can make sure there's no creases in it, and then it's looking nice and good, and you can flatten that one down as well. Now, of course, whenever you are making this one, you want this piece to be smaller than your main color. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of put it in the middle and see how I like that. And I want my white piece to be just a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna flatten down this white just a little bit more. I'm gonna put it right on that eye. There we go. I'm gonna shape it up a little bit so that it stays round, because you want this as round as you can get it. All right, so my next color is going to be this purple one. I think I have a little bit too much for what I'm trying to do, so I'm gonna take some of it out and put it in my cup. So as you can see, I put most of my light purple away. It's okay if you have a little extra clay. There's nothing wrong with that. So I rolled this into a sphere again, making sure there's no creases in it or extra lines, and then I'm gonna flatten it down once more, making sure that it's round, nice and even, it's not misshapen or anything like that. And then once I do that, I'm gonna put it onto here, and I actually don't like how small that is, so I'm going to flatten it down just a little bit more so that it makes it bigger and takes up more space, but it's also a little flatter. All right, so now I'm gonna just kind of barely push that on to the clay. There we go, that's looking better. Gonna push down just a little bit, not too much. And then, oh, I pushed my purple over too far. That's all right. In order to fix that, I'm just gonna barely push at the side of the purple. And that way it is even and in a nice little circle. All right, so the next piece I have is this little black one. So I think I actually have too much black clay again. So I'm just gonna take it out and make this really small part. And then that's the next step is, as you can probably figure, roll it into a sphere and put it on the center there, nice and even. Now, as you can see, after you do all 4 of those layers, we kind of have like a little pyramid now. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna very, very, very slowly and carefully pull out the clay by just pushing on the ends of it. And that's gonna help flatten it down a little bit. Whenever you're doing that, you just want to be careful and make sure that you're pushing on the base more at the start, because you don't want your clay to like get too big, too long, or misshapen, or anything like that. All right, so then now I'm pushing down on it a little bit more, but you still gotta be careful because I'm starting to lose my white in there a little bit. So in order to get my white back, I'm just gonna barely kind of push that purple, the light purple, back up into a sphere. And now we have a tiny little evil eye charm. Now I could spend the next couple minutes talking to you about how I round this out by just pushing up the clay and making it nice and even, just barely kind of almost tapping it. That gets it into place so that you can make it nice and round. Or I can just let you continue on your own, making it as round as you possibly can, just so that it gets that nice, even, and sophisticated look. So I will just let you continue on, but I'm gonna show you how to put the eye pin in since I'm here. So once again, I have my little cup. I'm gonna get my eye pin, and this eye pin is a straight one, so it doesn't have any twists or turns or anything like that. So that just means you push it straight in. Now this design is thin, so you wanna make sure that you push it in very carefully because you don't want it to come out the side or the back or anything like that. So whenever I do that, I'm gonna decide which I want to be the top, and I want this to be the top right here. So I'm going to just barely kind of push it in just a little bit. And now that I know for sure that, you know, I like that, that's where that's at, I'm gonna start pushing it in just a little bit more. Oh, it started to come a little uneven and come out the back. So gotta be very careful. There we go. And there it is. Now, whenever you're doing this, if you push the eye pin in and it gets a little deformed or your clay messes up a little bit, that's okay. You can just continue going around in a circle, just kind of making it even, and so that it all looks good. And then now you have a tiny little evil eye charm.